What is phenomenology? Introduction. In philosophy, the word phenomenon is used to describe the way in which things appear to our senses. Philosophies such as phenomenology, put forward by Husserl 1859 to 1939, take as their starting point the view that we can never know what the world is actually like, but must rely on what our senses tell us about it. Edmund Husserl. Husserl argues that the world only makes sense because we construct categories in our mind in which to file information. For example, the category four-legged furniture for sitting on gives us information to identify the sensory data as a chair. So we can only understand the world through the mental act of categorizing things. We cannot directly understand the world in itself. Schutz's Phenomenological Sociology. Schutz, 1899 to 1959, applied Husserl's theory to society. The categories we create are shared with others, and we use them to interact. Schutz called these categories typifications. Typifications allow us to organize the world into a shared understandable form. For Schutz, the meaning of an action changes dependent upon its social context. For example, raising a hand means one thing in class and one thing at an auction. As a result, meanings are always potentially unstable. Typifications, however, stabilize and clarify meaning and make sure that we all mostly agree on the meanings of things, and then can cooperate and achieve our goals. Without typifications, social order would be impossible. For example, putting your hand up at an auction and in a classroom have two very different meanings. In Schutz's view, we all have a shared set of typifications, a shared life world that allows us to make sense of our experience, for example, allowing us to classify what certain situations are. He calls this recipe knowledge. Like a recipe, we can follow it without thinking too much. In other words, we all know that a red light means stop without too much thought. This common sense set of typifications is not our knowledge about the world, it is the world. Remember that Husserl and Schutz believe that we can only understand the world through our mind. The natural attitude. Most of us believe society is real. Schutz illustrates this by giving the example of posting a letter. We assume that if we post a letter, a number of unseen individuals will perform actions that allow the letter to be delivered. This encourages the natural attitude, the belief that the social world is something real out there. Schutz argues this example only illustrates that we all hold the same common sense assumptions and typifications. Evaluation. Berger and Luckmann, 1971, disagree with Schutz. How can society be merely a product of our mind when, once meanings are set, they then become an external reality that can have profound effects on our lives? For example, religious ideas may start as typifications, but they can then become external realities. In other words, religious ideas start off as part of our consciousness but become integrated into powerful structures, such as churches, which can constrain us and influence laws about our sexual relationships. Summary. The world only makes sense to us because we impose meaning and order on it, and our shared meanings help create this. This means society is a product of our minds. According to Phenomenology, society exists in people's minds through their typifications and common sense understandings.